That's one small step for man.
Out for the. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Here's What's Going On podcast with me, AJ. We're going to jump right into the ABCs, AJ's Book Corner. We're coming from the book The Injustice of Place by Catherine J. Eden and H. Luke Schaefer and Timothy J. Nelson. The big cold comes to Central Appalachia. 54 years after Eli Whitney first ventured south to take up teaching, another Yankee, 19-year-old Jedediah Hotchkiss, left his small village near the foothills of the Catskill Mountains to embark on a walking tour through Appalachia. Ambling into the Shenandoah Valley, Hotchkiss ended up in Staunton, Virginia, nestled between the Blue Ridge and Allegheny Mountains. He became one of the area's leading educators and founded several schools. Hotchkiss also earned such a reputation as a skilled map maker and expert on the landscape of Western Virginia that during the Civil War, General Robert E. Lee chose him as his topographical engineer. While on assignment one day during the war, Hotchkiss spied several large coal outcroppings along the eastern base of Virginia's flat-top mountain. Far from the established anthracite coal fields of Pennsylvania, Ohio, and Indiana. Though fully occupied with the war, he made note of the sighting. After the war, Hotchkiss took a teaching post at Washington University, later known as Washington and Lee, in Lexington, Virginia, under the presidency of Lee. Upon Lee's death in 1870, Hotchkiss returned to Staunton, where he mounted a campaign to convince financiers that the coal outcroppings he had seen could be the foundation of an industry to replace the slave-based agricultural economy destroyed by the war. Hotchkiss hired prospector Isaiah Welch to investigate the claims of a Tazewell County blacksmith that he was mining all the coal for his shop from his own property. What Welch discovered on the blacksmith's land was a coal seam 13 feet high, twice that of any then known in the United States. Though it would take another decade after a depression in the construction of the Norfolk and Western Railway, the flat-top Pocahontas coal field was finally developed, turning the little town of Big Lick, Virginia, into the booming city of Roanoke almost overnight. Almost 25 years after first noting those outcroppings, Hotchkiss helped usher in the industrial age in Western Virginia. It was only a matter of time before coal mining was spread across Central Appalachia. Yeah, so basically what I'm learning in this book is once slavery was taken out of the equation, people were just scrambling to be more greedy and take up land and do a lot of greedy stuff. And it was like cotton was done. When cotton was done, it was tobacco. When tobacco was done, it became coal. It just an ever-evolving thing. And I need to think about, like, what's the thing it is now. Maybe it's technology. I don't know. But yeah, pretty interesting book so far. It's nonfiction. I read a little bit of everything. So there's really no thing. Like, I've read like anywhere from fiction, like Reminders of Him, to this and this book here, to, sci-fi, Women's War. I finished that one. Like, I read everything. I just like to learn. And I think, being that I have a library card and have the ability to have a library card, it's freedom to me, and I choose to make sure I utilize it. Anyway, this episode we're discussing toxic people and the ill effects they have on your mental and physical health. I was talking with one of my siblings and I said, I think I discovered the reason why I limit my authentic self at work, aka mask. The reason why I do is because I gatekeep my authentic self for my friends and family. Aka I set boundaries. Now, I don't mind discussing things that I don't understand, but I'm not doing that every day to placate others. I'm a recovering people pleaser who continues to work on setting boundaries and level setting. Some people just have trash characters, though, and their baseline is to be difficult and mean and contrarian. And having to deal with people like that can have negative effects on your mental and physical health. The article, How Toxic People Make Us Age by Sebastian Aucklenberg, PhD, they discussed the research they did that found that being friends with toxic people can increase the aging process by 1.5%. I've grown to a point in my life where I try not to tolerate toxic people for very long. Who knew that in doing so I would stay younger? I'm happy and I'm grateful for basically being able to be consistent with my writing. I'm on episode 5 of my script, and I'm happy with how the story is progressing and how it's beginning to flow more organically. I'm writing a story. I'll give you a little bit of a plot point. There's a group of friends that end up one of the sisters of one of the friends is up being murdered, and there's just the fallout of that. And I just go through their lives basically and see if maybe there is some, healing that can be done there and coming together, or maybe not. Who knows? But I'm very excited, and I'm very proud of myself for stretching myself and being consistent, because I would really fall off with writing on my story and just write it in my head and never put it on paper. But now I try to take time, at least an hour to 2 hours a week, and try to write on my story, actually physically write it out and stuff like that. Just getting words on the page, honestly, and not feeling shame if I'm only able to do 10 minutes at a time or whatnot like that. But I really am being intentional about it, and I'm thankful for that. The quote: I read my way out of my body to be safe. I wrote my way back to be saved. And that kind of, writing and reading for me are both self-care for my mental health. I'm able to focus on one singular thing when I read. Reading also helps me write, teaching me how to build story structure and characters, and they both let me explore my imagination. And I feel like we as adults lose our imaginations due to having to do adult things. We shouldn't lose our imagination or whimsy as we age. We should hold on to it. It's important, especially to me. But before I go, be sure to check out the show notes. Also check out my books on Amazon titled Poems to Cry to in the Dark and Love Letters Never Sent to Myself, and leave a 5-star rating. Other than that, I don't have anything else. I'm glad you're still here, and I hope you have the day you deserve. Bye!